Hello, everybody. This is a Link to the Past randomizer, the Casual Boots Invitational, which means we have some pretty amazing runners on stream. I am Wallkicks. I am joined today by Clearmouse. Hello, Clearmouse.
Hello, Wallkicks. Oh man, I am so excited for this. You said some pretty amazing have right? Well, you know what? You have just been proven correctly. We've got two pretty good runners here with Gem and GGW. I think already maybe GGW is indicating some preferences. I believe he already wants both rods. Is that my understanding?
I would be pretty. I don't think he has both rods. I think this is just his file name is definitely a reference to his race against Schulter yesterday, in which Hobo had the mitts, and that kind of led to everything. Yeah, that kind of led to everything else. And I think the flippers were like deep in like pendant pot or something.
Awful.
And you only really needed the flippers to get those mitts logically, and then to get the ice palace. So yeah, GGW is just having some fun with who he is, who hopefully doesn't have anything.
Yeah, hopefully. I have been told, Wallkicks, by some pretty credible sources, that Hobo is one of the worst locations in the game.
I can confirm personally that Hobo is terrible.
Do you think Hobo's gonna have the mitts here in this seed as well? Because we just found the power gloves in Link's house.
I think GGW might make it a point. But anyways, yeah, hey, they're off and running. So for those of you who don't know, this is Casual Boots, meaning that we start with boots. We have a sword. You can't actually see it right now because you don't actually get to it until you talk to the uncle. But other than that, it is just a regular standard seed. So
yeah, I mean, just look at the sync, right? I mean, it's almost as if these runners have participated in many Casual Boots Invitational ladder races throughout last season, and kind of made it to where they are today.
Yeah, so for those, again, who are unsure, don't know, they had the entire season to race Casual Boots. The top 16 were invited into the tournament, and then they're separated into 4 groups of 4 based on their rankings. Each runner races each other once. The top 2 advance to the next group. We do that until we're down to our last 2, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the first week of groups. Garbage, who is Ganon's Gone Wild GGW, has raced once already to Schulter, took the loss. This is Gem's first race within the group.
Yeah, and right, so I think when the groups in her team were formed, I believe Duncan did some sort of like snake casing, and so original seeding, of course, Gem was, of course, the first seed in the entire bracket of 16. GGW tied with, I think someone else actually for the 8th seed, but ended up within the same group. I mean, but honestly, like, these seedings, at this point, I would say matter very, very little. In Casual Boots, these runners are both, very, very excellent, in their own rights. Very, very impressive. We're going to see some very high-tier execution. Actually, just also seen here with basically there's like, syncing, right? Throughout, this entire escape sequence so far.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I mean, you see this kind of early on. A lot of runners who are very adept at NMG, someone like Gem, might take a couple of second lead, but that's not going to be that big of a deal, especially with GGW's execution. He'll be right there with him.
Yeah, right. And of course, for maybe those of you who are watched some of SGL, there was a modified Casual Boots item placement or item pool essentially. But so in terms of good times for escape with boots and a sword, we are kind of running about probably, we would like to say, what, the 5:05, 5:10 mark, 5:15. Those are some very impressive times. Of course, always going to hope for that sub-5 escape dream.
I mean, if you're getting a sub-5 escape with this loadout, you are like the best of the best, and these runners are definitely capable of that for sure. I'm gonna just say myself personally, I struggle to get below a 5:10 because I don't play a lot of NMG, so me and my castle execution don't really get along.
No, I mean, you do have a lot of execution, difference, but it certainly does with like anything else. It takes a lot of practice, and yes, I believe for other probably less. I won't say less standard modes, but for maybe something like entrance or crossings, you don't typically just do the escape sequence both front and back for something like this, right?
Right, but watching these 2 runners is always a treat in general because their execution is so good. So we're like these first 5 minutes, again, we're going to kind of see a lot of the same early routing. After this, they'll probably they'll check bonk rocks. I don't know if either of them are adept to checking lumberjack, but we'll see. There's not going to be a whole lot of divergence early on.
Yeah, well, so yeah, actually, I was going to ask you more about GGW actually in this case. Well, so at least for for Gem's history, I would say. He's certainly a very strong proponent of any mode that can, start with boots. Of course, how much better you're gonna get, with casual boots. So, Jem obviously, is very experienced, and this is probably one of his, top modes. I'm actually kind of curious, does GGW play a lot of casual boots? Like, does he have a main mode that he kind of likes, to go after?
I know he's generally not the biggest entrance person, so when he's running, he is doing casual boots, or I would honestly think casual boots might likely be his most run mode.
Okay, so that actually means, so I know that certainly, at least from the latter season, Jem certainly has put up a lot of, official casual boost races. I think from the record that I saw for GGW, I don't know if he ended up taking maybe a little bit of like a break or something, so he just has fewer games under his belt. So I'm just wondering if, he was maybe just more familiar or something else as well.
It's possible, but yeah, GGW, he doesn't play a whole lot very often,
sure.
So. But I mean, when he does play, you kind of remember, oh yeah, he's actually amazing at this game for the most part.
No, I mean, GGW certainly is super active, right? There are lots of things that I believe he's done. Right, he's done League, right? He did SGL, certainly. So he is definitely very experienced.
Yeah.
And already we are out of escape. Did we actually find anything interesting? I know we found a bunch of money.
We got some money. Didn't get any bombs.
Yeah.
Quick map check. We saw a red crystal at Eastern. That's some pendant at Hera, and a regular crystal at the other one, Desert.
It's one of those. Lesser important dungeons.
There's only 2 items in there. What are we gonna find?
Yeah, I was actually gonna say, just the fact that we have 0 things available for our Y item slot kind of indicates that we didn't really find probably anything super useful. However, we did see for our still synced rupee counts from both runners, 326 is that. You know what? We didn't find any bombs. Not a super big deal, but because that just means that we still have a lot of money to buy bombs. So maybe it just costs a little bit of extra time, because you have to go all the way down to actually go buy bombs and whatnot. But certainly not going to be a big deal. Certainly probably not going to be getting those lumberjack bombs, though. It's just an effort to speed up Kakariko a little bit.
I mean, you wouldn't want to get those bombs right away, so you can make sure you have bombs for Kakariko.
Oh yes, exactly.
There's a moon pearl.
Yeah, speaking of, so we are, a hammer and a miss away from Dark World access. So, okay, so the next thing that GGW is probably going to go to after Kakariko is, Hopo? Because,
Clearly that's where the myths are.
Yeah, the myths were, there, so it's easy Dark World access.
One little thing to know is that neither runner chose to do a tree pull, or Jem's doing a tree pull right now.
You just needed to hold that thought for 5 seconds.
I needed to not say anything for a half second longer. I don't think anyone also checked what was under the bush crab, so imagine if there were bombs there and they wouldn't be worrying about bombs. Of course, Jem is using his casual boots knowledge to recognize that bonk rock right there is guaranteed to have a bomb when you bonk into it. Looks like GGW also has that same knowledge. It looks like GW is doing it again. He looks like he just, kind of wants to guarantee himself bombs for the well and blind set, which we're not seeing anything. There's a mirror in blind set, but we're not seeing anything bombs wise. So Jem might be taking a slight risk when he goes into the well. Ether medallion as well.
Yeah, I was actually going to, possibly. I learned from you, Walkies, that I decided to hold my thought for 5 seconds before saying anything. In that, I was wondering if GW is actually going to go in and get a second bonk. Because as you said, right, ideally we would have 3 bombs. That was the number that we need to fully clear out Kakariko with all the bomb lock locations. And so Jem, I think, is just hoping in this case in order to find, some bombs in the chest that he has. But it looks like, though, unfortunately, even though he's got basically tons of goodies, as you said, we got a mirror, we got an ether medallion, we got a bow. No bombs for Jem to be able to check Chicken House. So he's gonna have to go buy some.
I can't wait for 4 of these checks to be bombs.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, not bomb, alright.
Cape is very interesting, yes. So we have a glove, we have a pearl. we all be thinking start with the sword, but that cave potentially, hopefully, means that we don't have to end up maybe paying a friend to someone who lives up in the tower.
We've got a number of things to do before that. Like I suspect both runners are going to take care of both of their crystal dungeons because we can, out of logic, get into Hera, and we can also just clear Eastern Palace in general. So I suspect both of those will get done at a minimum. I say that as Hera is a pendant and not a crystal.
You know, that certainly has never stopped anything from being in Pendant Hera. You know, especially with some of the SGL things, you know, that have been going on. I believe there's reputation of like the flute, you know, required flute being in the basement of Hera. So I'm not sure if that's something that, you know, these runners would consider. But actually, speaking of, you know, so they did get in a glove out of Escape. I certainly have seen some runners, certainly not these two today, that basically, you know, when you get out of Escape, first thing you do is sequence break up the mountain, and then check out, you know, what's on Spec Rock and what's inside.
Yeah, and you're seeing Jem's overall knowledge of the game kind of come forth here, and he's using his spin speed to kind of move around Kakariko faster. That's really good tech, and is part of the reason why he's the #1 seed here.
Yeah, I mean, Jem's execution through through Kakariko, I mean, in general, of course, is definitely top tier. Looks like they are actually going to both blind check the race game, or not blind check, going to actually take a sneak peek. Just a hard piece today, so not going to be worth their time.
Yeah, I suspect both are probably going to move towards Eastern at this point. I say that as GGW, as they both make me a liar. Thanks, guys.
You know, I would say that with more, you know, they have a lot of money. This is certainly going to be another common route in this case. Looks like Jem's at least going to opt to do the dam first, whereas GGW is going to go directly to Mini Moldor, presumably go check out Ice Rock Cave and then do a water walk over and pay off Zora. So we got so much cash, right? 300, I think, in Escape, 300, and then 600, I think, in Kakariko.
Yeah, definitely a lot of money early, so there's really no reason not to at least water walk over to Zora, particularly because Zora is in logic with the glove.
Yes, this time. Ooh, though, Jem finding some more bombs that he didn't need, but more specifically, he's about to fire out. Meanwhile, GGW has found an actual light source with the lamp of the NPC.
And Silver's there.
Oh my gosh, dude!
Alright, well.
Alright, so I guess Mini Moldor today is Light World Hype Cave. That is such an amazing care package. So, you know, these water walks that GW is going to, water checks with the water walk, presumably is actually going to be in logic, but of course, you know, as you mentioned earlier with spin speed, we've got a couple more hidden abilities with these boosts that we have, so it's going to make these water checks a bit faster. That's a pretty good match, but bomb management, by the way, on GW side, he has exactly 1 bomb for Ice Rock Cave, so good thing he did this.
I'm sure that was totally calculated and not at all like a product of, oh my goodness, I have a bomb.
Yeah. Well, so luckily, of course, and I'm sure, you know, these runners also do know that there is a 50-50 rock, basically, you know, to the right of this area. So if he, for whatever reason, had befallen some unfortunate circumstances with the crab, he at least would have had, you know, half a chance more to get a bomb.
You never trust the 50-50.
Yes.
It never goes well.
Alright.
Looks like GW is going to check Hobo. Clearly, this is where we will find our mitts.
Yep. Alright, I'm ready. By the way, this is still in logic. You know, we got the flipper super early, so, you know, if the mitts are here, I'm gonna just call that GGW, because he played an extra game earlier, has the full advantage.
I mean, you say that, but he's 0-1 right now.
Alright, but you know, actually, so not quite the mitts as we had for last seed. However, those bombs actually are pretty good pickup for GGW, right? You know, we saw that he exactly spent out all of his bombs to try to open up Ice Rock Cave, and yet here we are. So we actually have a little bit more of a lifeline.
Yeah, I'm sure he actually won't say no to those bombs. Jem, meanwhile, is probably going to hold off on Hobo. Probably wants to combo it in if they're going to check like Pyramid over to Pod area, because we do have that mirror. So you could see that pay off a little bit. Yes, we have a mirror. It's crazy, isn't it?
It is actually. I mean, no, we should also definitely, you know, thank our trackers today, Tam and Seraphim. I probably should have asked how to say these names beforehand, but you know, they, especially after Mini Moldor Cave, they had a lot of work to do. And yeah, it's a really good reminder to be able to know what runners would pick up basically 2 minutes into the seat, because I'm sure they were paying attention.
I mean, trackers are, you know, everything. Like trackers are our best friends. They do such good work. So yeah, we definitely should shout them out. And like you said, I don't pay attention at all. Like I don't even know who our 2 runners are.
I mean, all I see is whatever's on the screen, which is Gem and GGW. So.
I see 2 links. Like one of them
that's
is,
true.
you know,
yeah,
in pink. One of them is regular.
I'm kind of curious to see if JJ will actually pick up these bombs that we just saw Jem forego, right? He's only down to 3. They were some pretty expensive bombs, but he basically just doubled his bomb count at this point.
I'm sure he's enjoying that.
Yes.
Jem's now going to make his way over to Eastern Palace. Hopefully GGW will do the same and not make me a liar for the second time.
The second time, it looks like though both our runners, what great minds think alike. They are doing basically almost the same route. I think at this point with GGW, I would say just slightly trailing time-wise in order to get into Eastern. However, just keep in mind that GGW did one extra hobo check, right? And so that's basically the difference right now.
Yep, but at the same time, Jem also did the dam and has that fire rod in his back pocket.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
We do see a Master Sword, so the idea of Vagabond is already was already there with the 8, but a little bit more relevant now potentially. So it'll be interesting to see how these runners choose to play it out, especially looking at Pendant Hera. There's 5 items up there at this point. The 3 checks going up to Hera, and then the 2 checks in Hera.
Yeah, that's certainly true with that lamp. The mountain is fully in logic because we can get in, and we of course can lift the rock to rescue the old man. With the mirror, we can get up to Hera because we can just mirror up and then see. And yeah, so whatever would be in Hera, that would be. And of course, if we end up finding, let's say, a hook shot, right, that would basically open up the mountain even more.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I would almost expect us, usually in an Agaseed scenario, before you do Aga, you kind of have a way over to West Dark World in that sense. And we have flippers, so I kind of expect a hook shot at some point, but we'll see. I mean, we could just get the mitts or the hammer and make all this moot.
Yeah, Dem just ended up picking up a bug net. Now, I certainly have seen him in the past attempt a fairy death revival to try and get over and sequence break out the right side of Death Mountain. I'm not sure if he's willing to do that today, but it's maybe something to keep in mind. If GGW also is something willing to maybe take a gamble or two here.
That would be very impressive. I don't suspect GGW is the kind of person to do that. I'm not sure if GGW hovers. I want to say no, but we'll see.
Okay, that is something to keep in mind.
I do believe GGW can bounce though.
Okay, alright, so that is certainly good to know. I mean, so we did already have one pendant here in the light world. We don't know what our other 2 pendants are until we can actually get to the dark world, but if Swamp Palace ends up being a pendant, that actually may come into relevance.
Yeah, and looks like we did pick up the map and compass here in Eastern, which means we will be not, gambling on a 50-50 Eastern chest. We will just be going there anyway, so no advantage or disadvantage to be had for either runner.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, for a race, of, I would say, this caliber, this level of competition, I'd really actually like to see, either like the, God Eastern layout where everything is up front, right? Where this is going to be map or compass, or, the vanilla big feast, right? Because, or a guaranteed items here. And it's because you really don't want to see basically a minute's worth of difference, basically on this one coin flip decision, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's wild to see some runners make that call to be like, yep, I'm just going to go to the boss, and then,
and I believe we have established already here on stream that 50-50, never wins. You should just never take it.
It's
right?
true.
So.
50-50s are the worst. It's never 50-50.
Mm-hmm. All right, but yeah, so okay, so as we were mentioning, Aghanim certainly going to be on the table potentially. But it is fully in logic. However, it is still a multiple minute time commitment in order to get over there. Certainly, these runners are not going to at least maintain that idea until they've kind of exhausted, a lot of item dense locations or fully clearable crystal dungeons, right?
Yeah, I'd be curious to see So Jem obviously went dam east, so he has Agina's Cave essentially orphaned altogether. GGW has given himself the option of doing Agina's Cave when he combos it in with the dam. So if we get into a situation where, say, we clear out Hera, because I'm assuming both runners next place to go up to the mountain, and clear Hera. If we don't find anything there, does Jem say, okay, I'm just gonna orphan Agina's Cave and do Aga 1? And does GGW say, okay, I'm going to go do Dam to Agina, and that might be something that we see be a difference in the seed.
I was just gonna ask that question. Okay, so we do certainly know that for the most part, for non-mountain treks left, there is at least 22 runners. There's basically just Akina left before we go up, and so that's actually going to be kind of another coin flip decision at this point. Especially for GW, as you mentioned, right? It's going to be much easier for him because he has both items to dam plus Akina, right? For Gem, it's a long ways over there to run, just for that one check. Especially even Gita too, right? Gotta go all the way to the back of the cave, gotta wait for the bomb to explode, and then, see what happens.
Yeah, I expect Gem would choose Aga over Agina's. GW, I'm not sure. But, I mean, we're seeing, essentially the same route, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah. Of course, Gem here is going to give us a bit of a sneak peek as to what we're end up getting. Alright, so Old Man has blue mail today, so we're going to... good thing that Gem just ended up picking up blue mail because he literally just got bombarded by boulders. Well, actually, I guess it didn't matter, right?
Done anything.
It's like,
that mail meant little here.
Alright. Gem demonstrating some nice new, some speed tech here in order to get up the ladder just a little bit faster.
Gem's choosing to blind check this. I'm a little impressed at this. This is something normally runners would just kind of run in, check, and run out, but he's just going to say, I'm just going to assume it's an item. And it's not.
You are correct. Looks like, though, he is... so normally speaking, when Gem goes up the mountain, he doesn't normally just blind check this or goes. He normally says he takes a peek at it. But looks like he does not want to do Pendant Hera. This is actually quite interesting. He has decided that he is going to go follow the C's logic potentially. Because Aghanim's in logic, and he is going straight there.
Alright, it looks like GGW is also saying no to Pendant Hera, so Pendant Hera just doesn't exist to either one of our runners.
Yeah, this is, I guess Pendant Hera is the new Eastern. That nobody ever wants to go there.
No one ever wants to go. So this will be GGW picking up his Fire Rod, and kind of will be interesting to see if we choose to follow it over to Agina's. Gem, once he finishes with Aga 1, he's just really going to have Catfish and Pyramid Catfish and Pod. I don't think he has the ability to head anywhere else right now.
And of course, right. So luckily, of course, because we ended up picking up all that money in Kakariko, they actually do have the option of getting into Pod. I believe there was actually an initial qualifier that kind of made or break people's seeds, because some people, when they landed in Aghanim's or whatever in Dark World after Aga, some people had money for Pod and some people didn't. So yeah, hope so. Then at least that scenario is not going to happen here today. But it looks like, though, GW is going to be a little bit more thorough, minus Pendant Hera. We're definitely not going to go there if we don't have to, but he's going to check out Agina. So this is going to be kind of a big moment if something is here.
Oh, it's a hook shot. All right.
That is pretty big. Okay. All right. So that has opened up the rest of the mountain. At least on the Light World side for GGW, it looks like he is going to hook straight over and go to Paradox. So we have 7 items over there, and we can also take a peek at what is on the floating islands.
And that's interesting, because kind of going back to what I was saying earlier about, normally when you do Aga in a situation like in a seed like this, you sort of have access to West Dark World, and that would give Gem access to West Dark World via flippers and hookshot or glove and hookshot. So that this could still very well be an Aga seed. But it it could still be a little while before Gem makes his way over to Agina's cave.
Yeah, right. So I mean, certainly, this place that GW here is very item dense. Doesn't necessarily have to have anything specific, but as you mentioned, that hookshot in Agina still is pretty isolated regardless of what's happening. Oh my gosh,
it's a book, so GW might be putting off Aga a little bit longer now.
Alright, so yeah, GW now has a desert open to him, which of course is a crystal in this case. And of course he does have an ether tablet, so it looks like he is going to keep his mountain access. Presumably then it's going to head over to the Hera area, at least check with the tablet. Maybe dip into the first floor and see what's there, right?
This is interesting, because this is the kind of setup for GGW that could almost punish him more. Because like say Gem doesn't get anything in Pod, then he knows, okay, I've missed something in the light world. He's gonna go probably to Agina's Cave or to Hera, pick up his hookshot and be fine. But say he picks up something that isn't like super required immediately, say like a medallion to get into
another pendant dungeon.
Yeah, like he could. It's interesting. Like this is the kind of thing where like maybe Aga early ends up being the correct play, just in general. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah,
this is turning into an interesting scene. For sure.
Yes, this is certainly quite a bit of divergence, right? So GW, as you said, he has lots more things to do, for better or for worse, right? At least for the better means that he has immediate access, to desert. It's going to be a fully clearable crystal for him. But as you also said, we are presumably. I didn't even catch if there was a map check, but let's just say, looks like though, thanks to trackers again, we can see that actually here Meyer is a crystal, right? So if Gem is actually able to combine, let's say, let's do like the Desert Meyer combo, especially being backdoor into Desert, right? It's going to save him a little bit more time.
Yeah, and I mean, Pendant Pod, like, say GW still has to end up doing Aga. Like, Gem is basically forced into Pod at this point.
Mm-hmm.
GW is going to have the choice to maybe go west. And so, kind of like I said earlier, if Pendant Pod has like a medallion, it could be really bad for GW. Despite getting the hookshot early in this scenario.
Yeah, I mean, this is what we're here for. Well, kids, we are here for entertainment. Sorry in advance for the runners that they may have to go through something like this, but we're thoroughly enjoying this.
Yeah, so GW heading into Desert, fully clearable crystal. With the silver arrows, Landmo should be no problem whatsoever.
Yeah, no, and the fact that we did get silvers pretty early, especially only being on Master Sword, is going to make Landmo's basically pretty palatable, right, in terms of getting this crystal, right? Certainly can understand, even if they didn't have silvers, that GW, especially if you get both items out of the front, be basically saying, you know what, I'll come back here with better equipment so I can kill Landmo faster.
I mean, I can't imagine you're going to have better equipment than the silvers and fire.
Right. Yeah. So now today, yes, that shouldn't be a problem. However, if he wants to put it off for whatever reason, I certainly can understand that. Because we are going to, of course, as GW learned, especially from his last race, bits are pretty required for these casual boots seed, and we already do have, of course, the mirror, and we do spend Myers or crystals, so we do know that we're going to have to get over here eventually, and we will have the option of back Desert.
Yeah. Alright, so one item left in Desert and is on the boss. Gem, meanwhile, working his way through Pod. A lot of keys early on.
A lot of keys, yeah. Thank you, Pod. And of course, thanks to I think what is a semi-recent update, right, from to the randomizer itself, we do see a capital P or C in the upper left-hand corner. So of course, Gem is constantly reminded, right, at this point that he is, of course, in a pendant dungeon that he may or may not, be okay with being in. And I actually think, for what it's worth, when Gem ended up doing Aga, it just seemed like I didn't quite count the number of blue balls, but it certainly just seemed like a lot, because he spent a lot of time on that screen. So if Aga ended up being not required, those extra blue balls, may not also feel great. If you know that your opponent also has to go through the same thing, it's not a big deal, because obviously it's not like you had much of a choice, right? But this still time difference could still mean something at the end.
I didn't pay attention at all to how many blue balls Aga had.
Yeah.
So I'm a trust your judgment on that one.
Yeah, it always just feels like forever. Oh, God.
Oh, we're chest turning. Heck yes.
I was actually wondering what GW wanted to do in this case for Landmo's. Looks like he is going to pull out silver arrows. We saw a pretty nice display of mimics taken down by silvers. GW, of course, doing very similar here for Desert. Looks like we are, that's like 4 out of 5, 300 squeezed out so far for this
We've
season.
seen most of them, it seems like, yeah.
So GW is certainly a bit richer. No, I would say discernible item of progression.
Yeah, no, nothing there. So, I mean, for GGW, do you take this into Hera, or do you just suck it up and do Aga 1 at this point? The answer is suck it up and do Aga 1.
Alright, looks like... so I mean, this, by the way, a late decision to do Aga isn't necessarily, again, gonna hurt GGW, right? He has a lot of progression still under his belt. He has a full crystal lead over Gem right now, because he shoots into the Desert. And of course, he does have that hook shot, which, questionable right now when Gem will decide to go back, right? If he ends up getting, let's say, the mitts and the flute, right, Meyer's going to be a very tractable option. But without that book that we found in Paradox Cave, right, which will, which is what gave GGW access to Desert. The thought of going over to Akina at this point is pretty dismal.
Right, and at this point, Pod, we've seen those 2 bottles that we've picked up in consecutive checks.
All right,
that's all we've seen in here so far.
And some money, yes. Okay, so of course, this open up Sick Kid, I guess. Double the bottles means double the progression. Maybe. Oh man.
Maybe.
Oh dude. All right. So Gem looks like out of Pendant Pod. Great feeling when he pick up not only 1 bottle but 2. Looks like though maybe Gem is gonna opt to Catfish.
Yeah, this is the last Dark World check he has available to him. And it makes sense for him to do it because he made the Aga play. He doesn't, maybe in his mind he doesn't want to admit that. He's like, oh crap, maybe I did Aga for nothing. Which it looks like he still did Aga correctly. It just he missed one of the items that you needed before you do Aga.
Yeah, and especially with that hook shot, as you said, right? The fact that we have Blue in order to get over here, but Gem just read over the hook shot to the left to get the rest of the Dark World access, right? Which he does not have, and I'm sure if he had the hook shot. Right, he would have probably gone over there first. But, maybe Catfish could still pay out for something for him.
But this could present well for GGW at this point. If GGW elects to skip Pod entirely and chooses to take the hook shot to West Dark World. So, we might be seeing something. Gem, meanwhile, again, down to Hera and
Agina, right?
And Agina. Although, where are we going here?
I think he's going to the mountain because...
He's already got a save and quit point there, though.
Oh, you're right.
He's doing Sick Kid. This is the other thing.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We literally just talked about bottles.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right. I was like, oh yeah, he does have Sick Kid open. Here we go. All right. I mean, this is the most advanced sphere that we have at this point. So it certainly makes sense for Gem to follow something like this.
Yep. If you ever watch Gem's personal stream, he usually has his sphere tracker up and going. So he does like to keep track of spheres and kind of how it goes, but nothing on Sick Kid. So if GGW avoids Pod entirely, that's going to be a lot of time that he'll have picked up on Gem.
Yeah, it looks like Gem is committing to at least for skipping Agina, or at least for this part. Maybe he's also just going for item dense locations. Right? We did mention that there are 2 items here in Tower Hera that he has logical access to. And this also could be relatively fast depending on the layout of Hera, right? Especially if Gem's got he doesn't have the hook shots, so he can't actually Hera pod up. But if things basically are here, you put in the base in the first floor, right? He could at least doesn't have to spend too much time.
It'd be interesting to see what Gem gets if he gets anything. Half magic, okay. Well, I don't think he'll say no to that.
No, he definitely won't say no. You just see him picking him up, but it is certainly not the progression he's looking for. So I think this is going to be a small key, big key. So otherwise, we can't progress. All right, so at least this is the big key. So that's good news for Gem, or that's good news in general, right? No one really wants to sit through the basement.
It's good news right now. It'll be bad news when we complete Hera and the item is just still in the basement anyways.
Thank you for your optimism.
I am an optimistic person, Clear Mouse.
All right. Well, we still have yet to see in this case, what the second item is here. I mean, this still could be the answer. The game does not care about your convenience; it only cares about basically where the random items are.
Yep. And look to see where GGW is going. He is skipping Pendant Pod entirely, so this is a big chunk of time that he is, kind of getting that Gem, essentially gave to GGW. Which, I mean, I say gave, he didn't give it to GGW. He was making the plays that made most sense to him. It just, GGW appears to be essentially choosing no pendant dungeon tips entirely.
Yeah, I mean, this could be, right. So, and both the British are checking out Catfish, as we're seeing, and Gem, of course, saw that it was, 10 arrows or something like that, so some of that could be a value for GW. But with that hook shot, you can certainly see that he's going to make this check, and then presumably hook right over into West Dark World. Dark. Yeah, that's what
Yeah, you had that right.
It's always Dark World versus Death Mountain versus Dark Death Mountain. Oh no. Do you think so? I think at this point, Gem is committed probably to sit through the basement.
You have to. You're down to 2 checks.
Oh
You're
my
not.
gosh, this is not a good. It feels good moment.
No.
You know, it was so helpful at the beginning. Well, kids, we saw the early big key, and then what did you have to go do? You had to mention
I'm
something
sorry.
about
I had to say
the
something.
item in the basement. Yeah, thanks, Wall Kicks.
Hey, you're welcome, Clear Mouse. All right, so if you're rooting for Gem, you're rooting for something here. Be like a Kana Samaria or something.
Flute would be. Well, actually, Flute wouldn't open up anything, right?
No, but Flute is required and would be big.
Oh, that's true. That is true.
So yeah, I mean, Flute, Kana Samaria, again, a medallion, a nice rod, a hammer, well, whatever. If there's something here for Gem, that's very good. If you're rooting for Gem, you'd prefer it to be something that is something you don't need for a while, like a cane, like a Flute.
Yeah, but of course, certainly, even if Gem finds nothing here, right? I think at this point, well, even when he goes over to Agena and he'll eventually figure out, he at least will have comfort in that he did make the Aga play decision correctly, right? As an Aghanim is required, basically, at this point, right?
Well, he'll pick up the hook shots and have East Dark World available to him, which would lead him to his book, which could potentially lead to a bunch of other gross things that we don't like talking about, such as ether tablets. But
oh my gosh! All right.
Yeah, so this is a hard last location for Gem. Gem has nothing left at this point but Agena's Cave.
Yeah, well, so Gem knows this. Presumably he is going to take his hook. Well, so he will probably take his hook shot over to East Death Mountain.
I'm not.
Or maybe he'll just or be. Right. The other option, I think you just mentioned, is that, as we're seeing GGW do right now, right, he could just hook right over, and he has all of the Dark World open. There are our myths. That's a much nicer location for what it's worth, because, being our only access point available right now, I think those myths are going to be something that neither, of course, in this case, Gem or GGW is going to miss.
Yeah, and I think overall GGW has to be feeling pretty okay seeing those myths there. Because he's now like, okay, my play to not choose pod is paying off at least a little bit to start.
Yeah.
There's Gem's hook shot.
There is Gem's hook shot. All right, so hopefully, he doesn't feel, too bad, because right now, we've obviously seen GW do, basically all of the rest of, like world checks, right? Minus in this case ether tablet. So we know that chances are, all that stuff is not required. However, Gem doesn't know that, and I think right now he is hoping that still his Aghanim play is, was originally correct. Looks like he is actually going to forego the rest of the mountain, and then maybe combine that with Dark Death Mountain as well.
Yeah, I think kind of what you mentioned earlier about him, kind of hoping that his Aga play is still largely required. Basically saying no to East Dark World or East Death Mountain, and yes to continuing to follow the Aga play, which we'll see him pick up his mitts here in short order, and he'll feel pretty good about that. But you did see for a second, Gem was waffling on that decision when he was in the selection screen.
Yeah, I mean, and I think this is also partially, probably because, Gem is thinking, what are my options, in order to, I guess, save some time, but also he's probably thinking about what GGW potentially could have done, right? Especially if GGW has gone over here, Gem might be thinking about his win conditions for this race. If something's over there, right? Let's say, Aghanim wasn't required, I'm already, 5+ minutes behind, right? So what can I do in this case to try and make up some time? Well, I'm just going to try and combine that, at least, with Dark Mountain when I eventually find mitts, which he's going to do, I believe, on this next check.
Yeah, he should. I'd be curious to see if he maybe saves and quits right here, but it would make more sense if you had a flute to stop after the mitts, considering you could just flute right back over to Kakariko and get back in the Dark World from there. Yeah. But yeah, I can't imagine he would do that, but maybe he does. I don't know. Yeah. Do you know if we found 2 items from Skullwoods in GGW's depths? I know we saw one.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I know we saw one. I believe it was only one, though. It was just a heart piece. So speaking of potentially, difficult decisions, so we're still here with mitts only, Dark World access. No hammer. So, do you do what? Front 4? Do you clear out this dungeon?
given how you don't have a whole lot left, I kind of, well, GGW still has all a pot essentially, so he might dip out, but I would clear it. It's definitely, it feels bad if you end up skipping something in Thieves' big chest, but sometimes I think that's a risk you just kind of have to take.
Yeah, I mean, and especially, right, so, okay, so we do have real myths access, right, for Dark Worlds. We don't have to keep using, you know, our pyramid portal in order to hook over here again. However, as you mentioned before, we still don't have a flute. It's not like it's, like, super convenient in order to, you know, get back here into Dark World, right, or at least for this location.
Yeah, and Gem is kind of doing what we talked about. Like, after picking up those mitts, you mentioned that, you know, maybe he was going to combo East Death Mountain with Dark Death Mountain, and that's exactly what he's doing. He picked up those mitts, save and quit, and said, all right, I'm probably behind at this point. I kind of need to make a little bit of a play, and this is definitely one of those plays.
Yeah, I also believe that certainly Gem has made his opinions pretty well known about what his options are for Skull Woods, especially being I think that could also potentially influence Gem's decision to come up here. Looks like though Gem's trying to gain entry into the backdoor paradox. The second time is just as good as the first try, so he's going to be able to pick up his his goodies, quote unquote, question mark maybe. I'm not sure what you consider the book to be, you know, something that's good.
He's likely to check Ether Tablet at this point, because he has reason to be up in Dark Death Mountain, so he'll be up there, and he'll just be a quick mirror portal away and then rush over to Ether Tablet. So definitely something of value could be here for Gem.
Yeah, and so we haven't actually seen anything so far in in Thieves' Sound yet. If a hammer happens to be around these areas for Gem, though, also could be Spike Cave, could be another option to combo that chart with Ether Tablet.
Well, we would need a hammer first.
Right. I'm saying if a hammer was here.
Oh,
Yep.
Yep. Have not paid attention to our item layout in Thieves' Sound. I noticed we don't have a small key yet, so potentially
that is
not
always
a thing
the hope. Yeah, we don't want to see a small key basically in this next check in Blind Cell.
Yep, I did note that we picked up the compass up in the attic. I don't know if we've seen a map. Yo, stun prize is 8 bombs.
Oh, I mean, what was GGW worried about so early on?
I don't know.
All
That's
right,
a pain of Samara.
So those are some really good red items that Gem has picked up.
Yeah.
You know, so Cane of Samaria not unlocking anything so far, at least, but certainly going to be really handy to have, especially if Gem wants to try and tackle Ice Palace as a potential next place. And of course, Temper Sword, everything's just comfy after that, right?
Definitely. And no small key in Blind Cell, so in our trackers being very kind to us and letting us know that there were 3 items in the front of Thieves' Sound, so we got the 4th.
Alright, yeah, so this is going to be, load off of, GGW's minds. Doesn't have to worry about leaving anything, that's always the risk you run, with the hammer, without the hammer. Jam looks like did you have to catch a blind check this?
This is a blind check.
Okay,
he hasn't been up here from the light world.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and he took the light world portal in the south, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, he doesn't know what's here. Okay.
Yeah. So this is a blind check.
All right. Looks like it's just bombs today, so no reward. Gem's not even, of course, going to bother picking up. He already has 8 bombs. And of course, we know from GW's side the stun prize is 8 bombs itself. You can take a sneak peek at what is Turtle Rock today. It is Quake. Cannot get in. Gem, for what it's worth, he just picked up the Cane of Samaria, right? And he has a Fire Rod, so if it were Ether, I don't know, would you go in?
Not without a hammer.
Oh, you're right, we don't have a hammer. Just talked about that. Oh, that's right. Alright, so this is gonna be Gem's potential last check. I mean, hammer might be here. This could be
this could definitely be the hammer, and then all of a sudden, hey, Aga wasn't required at all.
Yeah. I don't know how Gem's gonna feel about this because we know, right? Okay, all right. This wasn't anything here. All right, so it looks like at this point we are confirming that it was Aga required.
Yes, guaranteed Aga required.
Okay, so that at least is a load off of Gem's mind. Certainly something to be very, very happy about. But of course, I was gonna say we know that GW explicitly skipped Ether Tablet. So if the hammer was there, it would have been pretty bad, for both runners. However, Gem doesn't know that, and so I'm thinking he's probably relieved, at least for the initial part, that in this case Agnum was required. Alright, Yeah, so GGW has finished up, in this case, Thieves Town, the rest of the village outcast. Looks like he is going to opt to do Smith Chain. I did see that we had already ventured forth into Dig Game with, 20 rupees as a prize or something, so nothing to speak of. But, of course, we have a mirror. It's going to make Smith Chain here a little bit nicer. We're going to be able to take this, take our chest for a nice long stroll down Dark World. Check out Cave 45, Stumpy, and then make our way presumably over to Hype Cave after we're done.
Yep. All right, so we're vast running out of checks. It'll be interesting to see. So GGW is not going to have a whole lot going on after he does kind of the Hype Cave area. If he hasn't picked up his hammer by then, does he go in? Does he choose Pod over Ice Palace at that point? Because that would help Gem a lot in this scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Well, GGW would do Dark Death Mountain first. Actually, I think that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, man, all these decisions.
This is a gross seed. This is the kind of seed that you're like, oh my god, you don't feel good about the seed just because of all of the bad decisions you have to make.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, and in fact, I mean, so this decision, this type of seed, I think is very entertaining. I would say to watch, especially in a race. But if you're a racer, like a runner in this case, like you really just kind of want a somewhat more linear seed, right? You don't have to make too many decisions because, especially if your first decision or a couple decisions don't really work out that much, right? It can just kind of spiral out of control. And you really don't want that to happen.
Yeah, and GW now checking Hype Cave. Still has the purple just kind of out in the world somewhere, so he's got to remember to turn that in before we do anything else. Oh god, that's the shuffle.
Well, you know what? So the good news for GGW is that he is already, kind of on his way back over there, so it's not going to be like too bad of a check, right?
It's a bad check at this point. It's a long
he's already,
way to go.
He's already backtracking. Looks like he's going to remember to turn in purple chest. Again, if he wants to dip the first chest of swamp, first real check, right? The first chest is always going to be a small key. But it doesn't ever preclude the hammer being there. And it's not like it's really easy to get back into this area without the hammer, too, right? You would have saw then in this case GW because he took a giant loop, right, around him to make it to where he is.
Alright, so we're also going to check out Bomba's Outlet, something we haven't seen from our other runner. Gem, meanwhile, working his way through Thieves Town. No, we know we won't be getting anything of value here, but for him, he won't be skipping these big chests, so good news there.
Yeah. Alright,
we're out.
Yeah, I was gonna say, okay, we got 20 rupees from Ether Tablet, we got 1 rupee from Bombo's Tablet. GGW did have access to Desert, which I believe also was no item value other than that crystal. So it looks like actually that book.
that book is nothing.
Much.
Yeah.
Yeah, as you said, the book it's always one of those question mark items. I'm sure GW certainly put it to, as much abuse as he possibly could have by getting access into Desert early. But, so one of those things that could just basically bleed extra time.
Yep. So we're essentially down, collectively for our runners, we're down to the first chefs of Swamp Palace and Ice Palace for our next progression.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, these are some great hammerless options. Because,
who doesn't love hammerless ice?
Yeah. Well, actually, so do you think GGW will go into Pod? He's gonna do all his Dark Death Mountain checks, right? Presumably, maybe he'll go back to Ether Tablet. But he does have Pendant Pod still open for him.
He's avoided Pendant Dungeons largely, so I'm not sure. Tam, our wonderful tracker, also pointing out that we still could have finished Skull Woods because we've had the Fire Rod.
Oh yeah, that's true. Oh man, and yeah, actually, this is going to be another opportunity for GGW as well to try and maybe make another decision about whether or not he wants to do Hera. What do you do? What do you do in this situation? There's just so many choices.
You become a ball and then you cry a lot.
Yeah. Where's your 8-ball? Well, should I go into Pendant Pod? Yes or no?
Well, we know the answer to that. The answer to that question is no.
I guess we will be. Yeah, in this case, we're the 8-balls, unfortunately. All right, GW is running over. Yeah,
I suspect he's going to go into Hera at this point.
Yeah, He's mirroring early, yeah. I mean, certainly, you know, I can certainly see him at least look at the basement. He's gonna pick up his half magic, presumably. So it's gonna be like a nice bonus in this case for him. Of course, he doesn't really need it at this point with Temper Sword. But I guess the question is going to be, does he keep going? And if he decides to keep going and clears out Voltorm, does he stay in the basement as well?
So Gem, meanwhile, picked up the Smith immediately. Didn't do Dig Game. So if he chooses not to pick up the purple chest, he could still do Dig Game, or he's just saying that Dig Game doesn't exist to him.
It's very possible.
GGW picking up one check in Tower of Terror and said, I have all I need from there. Man, we are making some skips here in this seed.
Yeah, I'm wondering, if in this case, right? So GW already has a loss against Schultzer, right? So of course, in this case, I think you mentioned very early, right, that this is a group stage, right? So only the top 2 advance. So I don't know if this would influence GGW in order to, I don't know, play a bit more, let's say, aggressively, because he feels like if he's already, this is at a race advantage, right, trying to advance.
Yeah, looks like he's going to go into pod, so this will be all the time that Gem gave to him by doing pod early. He's going to give back, so good news for Gem there. So the ball is kind of at this point in Gem's court to see what he chooses to do. I suspect he might be more interested in Ice Palace here coming up, because he does have that Cane of Samaria, and can make Ice Palace relatively easy.
Yeah, and still don't have a hammer. So like going basically, let's say checking out, let's say the first chest of Swamp, right? At this point is such a large time commitment, right? Just in order to get back to basically where Gem is right now, right? It's just not reasonable. All right, so at this point, let's say, so what has one runner done beyond the others, right? So in this case, so GW, as we just saw, he has skipped out basically after the first check from Hera versus Gem. He has spent the whole time full clearing the dungeon, essentially, with wall kicks, predicted Hera basement item sit through.
Sorry.
Yep, and I guess in this case, Gem decided to opt not to do digging, which we believe GW did, and we have not seen Gem do any of the final spells.
Correct.
Alright, Gem is going to bonk on this skull and then turn a purple chest. Yep. Presumably he'll do Bombos Tablet as well, so this may be also into Desert, because he hasn't been over here yet? Maybe?
It would make sense. I would hope he maybe moves the portal into a position where he can come back to it after Desert. So he'll check Bombos Tablet right here. Ideally, you probably want to go back in the portal to pop out, move it down real quick. I say that as someone as you then would be committing to a first check Swamp Palace. Nope, we're not. Okay.
All right. So this is gonna be basically we're almost just trading dungeon crystals at this point, right? So
yep.
We also definitely saw on GW side, Desert is a fully clearable crystal dungeon with that book. Maybe in this case, it is something to at least get some value out of this book, because at least we see on Gem side, both tablets, totally useless. So at least we can get something out of this thing. Portion items of use in Desert, but these gems can have the tied up the crystal card.
Yep, I think in Gem's mind he's hoping maybe like a Flukes in here or something that can, give him access to the Mire area, and likely a completable Mire. I suspect Mire's going to be Ether.
Yeah, I mean at this point, right? Like looking at Gem's options, right? So he's already done all the pendant pod, right? We're just seeing in this case GW basically full clearing or clearing as much as he can, right? So it's not like he has really more reason to be over there, So what does Gem have left? He has, I think we mentioned before, first chest of Swamp, right? First couple checks, I think, or whatever it is, he has access to in Ice Palace. Yep. Yeah, these are really great, appealing options, right?
Yep, and we have the rest of Skullwoods to finish off, and the shovel. Yeah. This is the
shovel.
There are no good options here. I don't think either runner feels good about how it's going, and
yeah, no,
that bottle that GGW just picked up reminded me that GGW hasn't checked Sick Kid yet either.
Yeah, well, right, and so, like, and, you know, we actually saw that Jem basically made a one-off trip, you know, well, especially, well, it was early on to go and check the kit, but, you know, GW, right, it's not like, you know, he got his bottle in Hype Cave, right? Hype Cave is so far away from the adventure. It's gonna get 2 more bottles right here to be like, oh yeah, maybe I need to go check the kit right afterwards or something like that, right?
It would be, let's see, because that would essentially be 3 items for GGW, because he would check Sick Kid and then probably finish off Skullwoods at that point, which is 1 item plus the green pendant. Gross.
Oh yeah, that's right. We do have the green pendant as well. Yeah, that's right. Oh.
All right, what are we doing, GGW? He's doing this to save and quit. He's not. There's nothing here for him. So now it's just a matter of, okay, what's next? Sanctuary.
Looks like this, yeah, so it looks like this is going to be a Sick Kid check. It's going to be as close as possible that we're going to get to.
Yeah, this is going to be a Sick Kid into Skullwoods clear, I think.
Yeah, meanwhile, though, Jem has made very steady progress quickly, rather basically here into the backup desert. I am curious to see what he does end up doing afterwards, right? So as you did mention, basically Jem hopped off of the ledge from Bumbo's tablet, so it doesn't really look like he is interested in anything else in Dark World for the time being, meaning the first test was Swamp basically for Jem and for GW's pretty, you know, not on the table right now at this point, right?
That seems like a last location for both owners at this point. Very, very nice landmo kill from Jem right there. Picking up 300 rupees, and yeah, we are tied in crystal counts at 3 apiece.
Yeah, so maybe at this point, Jem could still go visit Skullwoods, just like GGW is doing. He can also go dive into Ice Palace. Again, he may not feel super great about his early decisions in regard to, you know, because what ended up happening was, you know, he last located his Light World hookshot in a Venus cave, and so I guess I would be curious to see what he's doing.
So Jem looks like he's gonna do the shovel.
Ice? No, oh, that's right.
This is the shovel.
Yeah, that's right.
Answer chat, GW walked into Hera, saw half magic in the basement cage, picked it up and said, that's good enough for me.
Oh,
well, that's an ice rod. Okay.
Ice rod. So that is only very good for both runners. Assuming GW was back for it, right? We don't have to go on ice rod hunt today. It is not what potentially, you know, I mean, it doesn't help anyone right now at this point in order to move the seed forward.
Right. So it's just a matter of, does GGW check that?
Well, I assume he will.
I hope so.
Okay, and it's not like in this case he has a flute or anything to like hide that shovel, right? Like, I mean, it is like very obvious in his inventory that it is still something for him to go to.
Yeah, very nice. Oh, that's a hammer.
Oh, that is a hammer. We finally have unlocked some things in this seed. Alright, so it looks like Pendant Mocula was the answer today. It looks like the Jem very closely behind GGW going into Skullwoods. So this is going to be good news for Jem here as well.
That's fine, but at the same time, when does GGW now go get his ice rod?
Well, I believe you can only ask me yes or no questions. That's how 8-ball works.
Okay. Okay. Will GGW get his ice rod before going into Turtle Rock?
Looks unclear. Please ask again.
Alright, so this, I think it's going to be right here. If he's going to do it. Nope, he's not doing it.
Looks like Ice Palace is going to be...
This is Ice Palace, yeah.
Next trip. Where is this flute, man? Like, you know, Casual Boost has obviously the advantage of starting out with boots. We get, you know, Boost and a sword super early, I mean, from the get-go. A lot of nice movement. As the seed goes on, we're basically at the hour mark, the longer you actually don't have other movement items, such as, for example, that flute, right? Normally, you don't really feel any pain because with the flute, you can go basically anywhere in the light world. We're seeing actually a lot of now overworld rounding from our runners, right? Saving and quitting. What is the best time way to get to Ice Palace to get to, you know, you saw how painful it was to just check the kit, right?
Yeah.
Go all the way back to Kakariko.
Alright, so I'm worried for GGW at this point. GGW has been cutting corners when available, and I suspect that in his mind, Dig Spot is a corner that he's cutting.
I am trying to think if there's anything else in the area. I believe we haven't seen any type of like mushroom or powder, so that is not technically right now available. However, that is still an option for him on the table. Like if that comes up, right? He will kind of be in the area again. Oh, nice jump! Oh, dude. All right, so
Almost.
that was Oh,
Almost.
that is so close. It basically just needs a little bit extra timing. I'm super happy though that he decided to trying out that strat. It's actually something that I think we ended up seeing. I think Ravis actually, at least that's where I initially saw it from. But you can basically, if you have silver arrows and the red boomerang, you can actually speed that room up a little bit faster than like the traditional, run up to kill the mummy with the spike, that we see in MG.
Really good knowledge that I did not know.
And this is actually very random specific too, because when do you have silvers and red boomerang in NMG, right? Yeah, it's just like one of these like little things that basically save like a second or something like that, which is really cool.
Very interesting. All right, so Gem has his hammer now. Basically, at this point for him, it's either swamp or ice. Neither. I think both are perfectly acceptable plays.
Yeah, and I mean, so ice, especially with the King's Mario, it's makes full clearing this place a heck of a lot nicer. What? Okay, okay, so GGW ended up checking the ped like 2 times. We saw that text box come up multiple times. Gem also not only showing us the English version, but the Highland version as well. Like, do they know something that we don't? Is this like their new Magic 8 Ball?
It could be. That could also very much be a momentary like, is that bombos that they're talking about? Because it's not. It's 10 bombs.
Yeah.
But like you look at that, you don't see the 10 bomb one very often, and you're like, and it was like bombos maybe, and you're like, oh no. But no, it is not bombos. It is 10 bombs.
That, for what it's worth. I mean, so we don't have Meyer knowledge right now, right? But at least for somebody like Gem, who would end up clearing out Moldorm early, right? If Bombos happens to be required, and it was in fact Bombos, right? He is definitely feeling much better. But unfortunately, it looks like it is just 10 bombs.
Yeah. So it looks like Ice Palace is going to come up empty at this point. So potentially Gem is going to be making the right call into Swamp, but I suspect GGW is just going to be heading right here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I would actually say that in this case, so maybe one of the reasons why GGW maybe opted to do Ice Palace first was even though there are fewer items here available in Ice. So what is your decision on left side swamp, right? That always seems to be kind of something that could make or break runners on their seeds. And if you end up finding something good in Ice, right? You may. You could actually go mode swamp, let's say, right? You have you don't always have you have a better sense of should I do left side swamp first, right? Versus John, he is just physically going in and he's just going to make a call. He has to make a call basically without Ice Palace knowledge.
Yeah, and so GGW is much more likely to clear left side swamp at this point. Say Gem finishes off Swamp Palace and doesn't get anything of value. Say he does just go straight to the back and skips left side swamp, he might in his mind think, okay, hey, I have Ice Palace still available, let's go ahead and do Ice Palace and hold off on left side swamp for now. I say that and watch him go straight to left side swamp.
I almost thought he was. It almost looked like he might have, but I think maybe he's gonna do left side swamp first. He would have gone north or up in this case, so you get a clear dash versus coming down here first. Actually, so speaking of left side, what actually are we all missing at this point for build mode walkthroughs? We need a flute for sure.
We need flute. We need that Quake medallion and maybe Bombos in case Spire is Bombos. But yeah, Quake and flute for sure. And I sense a Quake medallion in here. And I just sense that flute's in Turtle Rock.
Oh. Wall kicks.
That's just how the seed goes. How this works.
The last thing until you said this, we had to sit through Hair Basement for Gem. We just ended up getting $20 out of it, after already picking up like $1,500 earlier. So, I would appreciate, some better optimism.
Okay, fine. You know what? We're gonna get the flute right here.
Right here, we got the rest of our 300s. Oh, we're definitely not poor. Is Shop Sanity on by chance? Do you think we go buy a flute somewhere from a shop?
Yo, secretly Shop Sanity's been on this whole time. time, and the flute has just been available all this entire time. Having said that, like, is this a scenario where map and compass are both left side? Although we have picked up the big key. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. I wish we were counting items. That was a really nice zero cycle from Gem, showing off some really good execution.
That trick is hard, by the way, in case you don't know that. That is a hard trick. Alright, so at least 2 items left side, because I know for sure that was the map and we have seen the big key. I suspect Gem probably goes in.
Yeah, you said that we saw the big key and the map, right?
Yep.
Okay, alright.
Alright, so...
Yeah, so Gem decided to go in so far, which, I mean, at this point is looking like it's the right decision, right? Because we saw that from GGW side, there was nothing of value outside of, I guess, like, the one bottle he has filled with blue potion, whereas I think the other ones were actually all empty. So I'm not sure, you know, like, we actually, what are the remaining checks left at this point that's not here in Swamp?
Fantastically bad ones, such as Hammer Pegs and Spike Cave and Helmus Arcane.
I would like to hope that somebody is here in Left Side Swamp. Oh my gosh, all the things that you mentioned are awful! Although, okay, for what it's worth, maybe for GGW, Spike Cave is not going to be that big a deal, right? He has not checked the tablet, so that is something that he can find. If he decides to try to choose to do Hera as a third potential option, or, you know, time for him to be on the table, that could be also something that he can do. Helma, though, Helma's pretty bad right now, for sure. That is a multi-time.
Yeah, Helmus Arcane is terrible for both runners at this point. So yeah, I think we are both hoping for left side swamp payout.
Yeah, we can actually see part of the reason why runners try to defer left side swamp as, you know, as long as they possibly can, right? Can't even, you know, speed these up. Gem's been here what seemingly feels like an eternity, but he's finally almost there in order to mix the items. Alright, meanwhile though, GGW is just wrapping up Argus, so presumably he's gonna do left side, right? He doesn't have anything else to do. I mean, other than the terrible things that you just mentioned.
Yeah, I suspect he'll do left side at this point. Which I think is part of the reason why he did Ice Palace versus he wanted that decision to be easier for him in case it came up.
Alright, 10 arrows. So this is going to be the best possible item that we're going to get. What are we going to get? Flute? Flute?
Quake. Well, there you go.
Oh my gosh! Yeah. Alright, so Quake, that is good for Gem right now, because he had already checked the shovel dig spot in order to go up, so he has everything on a bit of clear Turtle Rock. Were you asking a question earlier, Fix, about if GGW is going to go up to Ice Palace, or Ice Palace Turtle Rock without that ice rod? What do you think?
It's going to be tough to justify doing dig spot before. Well, maybe. I don't know. Is it?
I mean, you have to climb a whole mountain, right? In order to get up there.
So like maybe he's like, okay, let's get dig spot out of the way just in case and be rewarded. Like if he goes to dig spot right after doing left side swamp, I think he's got a lead. Because Gem is full clearing. Gem's gonna full clear ice looking for the flute because he wants, you know, he's trying to make it to where when he does Turtle Rock, that's his last crystal. Which it looks at this point like that's not going to be the case. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I guess you could call it the moment of truth here, because if GGW goes to dig spot, he's in the lead and has a decent shot at this race. If he doesn't go to dig spot and says, okay, I'm just going to assume that the answer is in Turtle Rock, I have a hard time thinking that he would be able to pull off a win against Gem at this point.
And I think you also did mention there is also hammer pegs too, right? Like, is that something that potentially is on the table as well?
No, you're not doing hammer pegs at this point.
Okay, I guess it's still pretty, right? We have no flute, so it's not like getting back to the village in Darkwood is going to be pretty easy, right? So yeah, that is definitely going to be something that's not going to. But I will, at least for here, right? Left side swamp, or at least swamp entrance, the dam in Light World is not, very far from the dig spot, right? So, but I think, as you said, if he does it now, this is probably going to be the most reasonable time for him to do so.
Right. So that's Quake. He'll mirror out. He'll mirror because you don't want to obviously save quit.
Yeah, he wants to be Light World safe spot.
Oh.
All right, looks like
wow, he's going to dig spot. All right, that is crazy.
Oh, nice. He can jump out a nice stair clip. Alright, so he is into... Yeah, and I think we did see that GW ended up picking up something in iced tea.
It was a bottle, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, no, alright. My point is that there was an item there, so Jump has to basically do this bottom jump over to get it.
Yep. Alright, so that is the Ice Rod for GW, which means his play into Turtle Rock is makes a lot more sense now.
So as GW basically makes his way up, we're gonna see Gem clear up, take down Cold Stare relatively soon. Because I think that was actually all of the items now out of Ice Palace, so all Gem has to do is basically go kill the boss.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, and well, so right now we're still missing that flute, as we said. We don't know what the Meyer Medallion is, and still could be Ether. It could also still be Bombos. We don't know, but we're hoping, at least, for the scene not to, drag on forever. The flute is basically going to be somewhere into the rock. As there are still, as you mentioned before, some pretty terrible spots like Helpa and Amber Pegs at this point.
Right.
That red mail isn't helping GW at
all. Shout outs to Gem though for that Cold Stare kill. That is NMG expertise at its finest right there.
His boss kills and execution in general has just been super impressive. Sadly, but quite the clinics to show us. Just happens to be that I guess part of the gap that right now that Gem has between himself and GGW is basically just the Light World decision for Gem to not visit Athena relatively early, which had the hook shot, which. Ended up just bleeding a little bit extra time.
Yep. Alright, where is... Oh, Gem's gonna turn in the green pendant right now. So if this is the flute,
then, that's right, he did do green pendant.
Then this entire race turns 180 degrees.
Yeah, we totally, because we were all like, oh, that's right, because one item left the skull was, and the green pendant turned in. We got all excited because Mothula dropped the hammer, and then here we kind of forgot about the fact that there was a green pendant.
I mean, look, it's our last 300. That in essence was kind of the same thing as GGW checking the dig spot. Essentially the same amount of time for that check. So, I think it was a good check on both winners' parts. GGW did swamp into dig spot, Gem did ice into green pendant turn in. It turned out better for GGW because that had the ice rod.
Yeah. So right now it looks like GGW is just going through Turtle Rock at least front of it, while Gem has started this mountain climb. I'm actually not quite sure of the exact time gap, but again, the flute is not necessarily the only thing we're still looking for in this case. We still don't know what the Bombos Medallion we still don't know what Meyer Medallion is in this case. Kept thinking about the pedestal and all the things that said something about bombs and.
That's the thing though, if either runner assumes that what the pedestal said is Bombos and they find out that Meyer is Bombos, they instantly leave and go kill Hummisaur.
Yeah, I don't know.
Assuming that that's what they meant. I hope not, because I'm pretty sure both of these runners know the Bombos text.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting conundrum.
Now, it's certainly still very possible that the flute is not actually here in Turtle Rock.
Correct.
In which case, we're moving on to some of the less palatable checks.
In which case, we do Spike Cave. GGW probably finishes off Hera at that point, which would honestly probably be best case scenario for Gem. And then it's pick your bad spot.
Yeah, I mean, right, so GW certainly has a lot more things to do left on the mountain, so in order to get him over to West, Death Mountain, Hera, Spy Cave, Ether Tablet, right? It could be certainly, pretty, although lengthy checks, it is still item dense. Chan, though, on the other hand, he could switch to Spy Cave, but it's, again, I don't know, weighing out Spy Cave versus Hammer Pegs versus Helm.
Well, you definitely do Spy Cave first, just because you're on the mountain. Like, Spy Cave is the obvious first check for Gem, assuming Flute isn't here. It then just becomes a what's next, because I think afterwards all Gem would have is Hammer Pegs and Helmasaur King.
Well, he did skip digging as well.
Oh, that's right, he skipped digging. That's right.
I'm sure it won't bite him. It'll be fine.
Not the Flute.
I mean, we all know that the value of Turtle Rock is definitely in Laser Bridge anyway, so...
Or it's going to be right here, and you could have saved time by doing this check first.
No, we're definitely mimicking checkers over big chests in Turtle Rock checkers here. As evidenced by the fact that GW checked mimicking first. Yep, I believe Gem will also do the same. Oh, that was a very scary bounce, actually, from that Pokey. But good thing these runners both have red mail, so I think at this point they're just not even worried about their health.
Yeah, red mail, I know they should at least both have at least one blue potion, so...
yeah.
I would be stunned to see either runner take a death at this point.
Alright, GGW coming up on a Laser Bridge. What do we have to... So, right, so unfortunately what we saw from the Mill Big Key chest, sorry, the Big Key was in his mill location, so no getting shortcuts around. Alright, GGW, speaking of no deaths, we're not gonna take any chances, but good thing we picked up that, the Mirror Shield. GGW, wow.
Still got shot, though.
His health is just taking such a beating. Thank you, Red Mail, at least for not dying. But, he doesn't have to use that cape anymore. He's got invincibility. It is... Well, okay, is there an item left on Tridents?
I would...
Did we already see Map and Compass? I'm trying to remember.
I don't know.
I mean, nothing was there on Laser Bridge, so, I mean, unless Trinex has something, we're down to some pretty awful options. And, these runners, I mean, not like they, had made some, not like the seed has really, been kind to them, but it's just like the more they have to do, the longer the seed goes on, right? The worse it potentially feel. So the GW on is Trinex by opting to do front door strats to try and take down both heads. Unfortunately, got a little bit of ice though on the floor. Not, I mean, of real any consequence, just might just make things a little bit more inconvenient.
Down. Do we have a flute? We do not have a flute.
That
all right.
Is a map, so we found everything that is available to us in Turtle Rock earlier, so it's not here. Oh my gosh,
all right, well, that's good for Gem.
Wall kicks. I was looking at some of the earlier matches that people played. I saw times that were being posted like 110, 107, right? 113. Where are we here? So we're still a flute and potentially Bombos away from go mode. We don't have Meyer done. We're still not anywhere close, and it's already 160. I feel gypped.
Also, GGW said absolutely no to Spy Cave, so that if this race isn't over yet.
My gosh, dude.
So what does GGW do in this? All right, so he's gonna turn in. He's gonna check Sick Kid and probably do Hammer Pegs, but what do you do next?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So he's certainly here in the light world. He's got Smear out, so potentially he is, as you said, he's going to do some of his Kakariko checks. But yeah, what happens after this? A flute. So even these decisions for what you end up checking first, you have to now kind of route it over world travel time as well. Alright, so GGW is gonna make its way presumably over this again first. Nope, we're gonna check hammer pegs first. Meanwhile, Gem though, trying for backdoor strats, unfortunately did not quite aim the ice rod just in the right direction. Hopefully gonna try and make a recovery. This is so GGW basically got beat up on laser bridge. Gem is kind of just taking his brothers here on Trinex.
Alright, so first new check on GW's side is hammer pegs. Is it here?
I don't know, Hawkins.
I don't know.
This is so freaking tense. Who's gonna make the right decision first? It wasn't even the ice rod in this case. I mean, flute go mode, man. I mean, you know, some people say like, oh, boost go mode is great because you know you're gonna have to, you know, go find boots at some point. But it's like, man, I didn't want to use those boots like much earlier. It is not hammer pegs.
All right. So where does GGW go from here?
I mean, you do Helma at this point, right? Presumably.
I mean, how can you justify doing Helma over Spike Cave?
Alright.
Alright, so this looks like Spike Cave. Gem is actually going to do Spiral Cave.
Oh, did he skip this earlier? I didn't even see.
He did.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, so I think we saw him do Paradox, Paradox Cave, but you know, presumably he was maybe looking to save a little bit of time. Probably opted to do some of these longer checks. Alright, so I guess, so it looks like the Gem also opting to not do Spike Cave, so he's gonna do hammer pegs?
He might still do Spike Cave, it's probably...
Oh, I see.
I imagine it's probably quicker to do it the way he's doing it right now, which is do the same quit and head over this way. Alright, is this our answer?
Oh my gosh, dude.
Yes, it is.
It is our flute. Alright, so we are in potential go mode. Gem actually just a spiral check behind GGW at this point. After everything that has happened. Not that anyone has actually felt super great. And so we're probably, you know, the gap is actually significantly smaller than you might expect.
Yeah.
Yeah, and GGW, of course, showing us that, you know, post-Aga defeat, because we did save and quit in the Dark World, we unfortunately still have to mirror out and go back to the Dark World. Do you happen to know, Wallkicks, out of curiosity, if GGW has a preference for GT basement routing?
I don't.
Okay. You know, because we are certainly within that realm of difference,
oh, absolutely.
Right? And you know, we still have we're gonna see both runners. GW has a very slight lead in this case. Activate his flute, head straight over to the mire area. Check out what the medallion is. You know, presumably if it is Ether or Quake, we're going straight in. And we, of course, we know that we're gonna be in go mode. Execution still matters a ton. Not like any leads changes ever happen in GT or, you know, anywhere else. If it's not, if it's Bombos, we still have some other options here left on the table.
Yeah, I mean, if it's Bombos, it's probably just in the Maya area. Like, I can't imagine like it would be on Helmus Arcane.
That's right. Alright, GW, that's right. He's like, I don't need to go to my arcane. Alright, so it is either our first medallion. So officially, from that flute that we found in Spike Cave, we are in go mode. Now, actually, presumably also, I assume that Mire dungeon routing also can play some difference in runners, because I've definitely seen that people have different preferences depending on what they decide to do in terms of searching for the big key.
Yeah, and man, this is gonna be a tight race, and like something that was even mentioned in chat is that Gem is gonna have sword beams, GGW is not. So, like Gem could save a second or two here, like.
This, but you know, and the fact that we say like, okay, we could be a second here, a second there, frames here, frames there. By the way, like, you know, the fact that Gem is basically a Mire 2 clear, also just a lobby behind is like hands full of seconds, right? You actually can see basically based on Gem's decision execution, he has made up quite a significant amount of time. In this case, yeah. Okay. Confirmation that the pedestal, in fact, is in fact 10 bombs.
Yeah, in case you weren't sure, it is not Bombos.
Alright, so we have Bombos, we have a small key in what's it, bridge chess. So
would have been really interested to see if that was the big key and watch Gem hover while GGW goes around and see like how much time that could have potentially made up on Gem's side. All right, so I suspect both runners will check the one chest here on left side to see if it's guaranteed that the big key is vanilla, but they're not going to go. They're not going to go to the vanilla big key chest right now, unless they know it's.
Oh no, they're going. Yep,
they're going, but it's because they know for sure.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. So just I guess a bit of random game knowledge in this case is that if there is a small key in the vanilla compass chest, which is what we saw, or you see Gem get right here and GGW get earlier, is the big key is guaranteed this vanilla spot. This is exactly why you see both runners basically beelining to the chest. There's no way that they would willingly sit through this particular incredibly long check if they had a better option to go into them.
Right. So yeah, this is down to an execution rate, which is exactly what we wanted to see after everything.
That's right. After an hour and 20 minutes, we finally got our execution rates that we wanted. This is quite amazing for everything that they had to go do.
And I mean, these are both amazing runners. Don't get me wrong, but like, if you're looking at an execution race against Gem, you got to be thinking, oh man, I better be not only on top of my game, but like above the top of my game.
Yeah, I mean, there are. Everyone talks about, very good execution. Gem certainly has quite the reputation, and it's certainly been shown, just like for his boss fights earlier, right? They have been super clean, super fast. I mean, his movement in general has been quite good. Yeah, and as you said, Wall Kicks, if you said, I'm going to go into an execution battle and Gem is one of your potential combatants, you are really not feeling great at your prospects.
But again, GGW's execution is just is also amazing. Like don't think that I'm like trying to say that his execution not. GGW has incredible execution as well. So yeah, this is going to be an insanely tight race.
Yeah, and of course, okay, we know how close this race is, right? Because we're seeing these runners basically go side by side. At this point, though, mentally, you, Gem, or you, GGW, have played an hour and almost 25 minutes in the seat, right? Your decision, especially probably for early game for Gem, has really paid off. You've skipped a couple things here and there, right? I don't know what your, mental state is at this point, but it is very important, especially at this point, to basically keep up this. Right.
Yeah. I don't know if either of these runners are the kind of runners that have the race room open during a seed, but if you do, you still haven't seen the dot done yet.
Yeah.
So you're nervous for sure.
Alright, I can't actually tell if Gem ended up making up time or not. Okay, so GGW's exited 1:25.25 in Light World. I guess we'll see what the time difference is after Gem also ends up exiting Meyer.
They've got about a 15-second difference.
15 seconds?
Yeah.
Alright, so that was 30, 40. Alright, so you're right. Okay, I should ask you to do math more often. 15 seconds.
I paid attention. Like, you started talking about it, but in my head, I was already looking at it from like the crystal pickup time. So I was already doing that in my head.
Okay, cool. Alright, yeah, so,
I just didn't want to say anything because had I said something, I would have like lost it in my head and I'd be like, oh crap. Alright, Ganon's Tower. Something about a guessing game. Uh-oh, that's not good for GGW.
GGW says, it's like, I'm not in the dark, light world. I can't actually just go in the bottom. It's, we talk about, this case, time differences, small differences here. Every little pause.
Like this.
GGW.
This might just be enough to give Gem the lead at this point.
Yeah, so Gem still has to go into the dark world, alright? So my guess that GGW decides to go up here in Super Bunny is to avoid the dead rocks. He certainly did not have a good time earlier, admittedly, because he basically just got, bullied. But it actually looks like, though, Gem's actually gonna make it out over to Ganon's Tower first. Holy cow!
Yep, and he's gonna take the lead right now.
That is amazing. So yeah, as as I think we were mentioning earlier, this is still an execution battle. It's not like people can't lose time for execution. Gem is not infallible, by the way. He still can lose time. Leads can change. We are looking at basically where GT Vicky is. So I know that Gem, typically speaking, goes to Hope Room first, and then if there's a small key, he continues. You know, if GW decides to do Stalfos Room first and do left side, that is an immediate time changer right there.
Yeah, you mentioned Gem is not infallible.
What is he doing? Sorry, I'm sorry.
You okay there?
I'm sorry, I thought, so this also might be a consequence of Gem deciding to not do his normal route. He's trying to hammer pegs. Yeah, we're talking about Gem not being infallible, trying to, you know, hammer down the pegs with that ice rod. I know that he, you know, really much values the power of the ice rod, but, you know, seeing him go to left side first is, I would say, also a potential tale of maybe where he thinks he is in this game. Alright, so no big key, but we do get our guaranteed small key or small keys from Stalfos Room. It looks like though Gem is not willing to is going to basically do the same route. Yeah, so at least in terms of variance, right? His route of going to Hope Room first can actually cause a pretty large gap if the Hope Room, if the big key is in Compass Room and there's no small key here, right? So I think in this case probably Gem is, especially maybe in his state of the race type of thing, wants to reduce the variance in this case. I don't know.
Right. There is definitely some nerves coming out of both runners at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't know how close they are. Like, they don't know that they are essentially in the same room. But I definitely think we're seeing some nerves out of both runners.
Yeah, no, for sure, right? And it's like, you know, as you said, right, it's not like, you know, this is a random race where runners can't watch each other. The only thing they really have is the race room open, and you have no idea when that dot's going to come in, right?
Yep. Oh, it's right side, and
it
Gem's
right
out.
Side. Hopefully he also doesn't regret that, but he has the comfort to know that at least he has reduced the most amount of variance in this case. Yeah, and of course, so many small keys from the Stalfos Room in this case that, you know, they don't need to check for anything. They got silvers, they got tempered. It is not like whatever capped item pool or anything like that. There is technically a gold sword out there, but I mean, you know, look at these runners, right?
Yeah, neither runner cares about that at this point.
Yeah. You know, they also got 14 hearts of red mail. They got a blue potion in their back pocket. I think you mentioned earlier you don't see any runner dying. I am full of faith with you. Like, the chances of them, I would say, taking like a death based on just like getting bullied at this point here in GT, you know, is on the lower side. However, doesn't preclude anything from happening, you know, for like, you know, Ganon or something like that.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. We're commentators supposed to be commenting on what's happening. I have half mine just kind of stay quiet and just let this race kind of play out for the next little while, just to be like, look at the execution for these two runners.
I mean, yeah. So I think there's, you know, there's been some like previous commentary, you know, where there's like a, you know, PSA, right? These runners make the Gon look easy as Gem is just getting bullied by these BMOs. But you know, as we said, like these runners have done the Gon so many times, so often. There's so much practice and time basically comes to this, right? They make it look easy. And very, you know, very well versed basically in trying to handle this.
Yeah, I mean, they're a room apart right now.
This is ridiculous, by the way. Alright, they are literally, so I actually want to say that Gem maybe, GGW actually maybe gained a little bit of time right before this Landrolls fight.
He still got the one cycle.
Yeah, that is, it's actually pretty impressive on GGW's part, right? Because, especially with silver arrows, if you miss the timing on one of the first ones, for whatever reason, whether it's your aim or you got basically, you know, interference from the shooter, it is extremely difficult to recover.
Oh yeah. Because Gem takes a fall right there,
oh
and
my
we
gosh,
are,
dude, we are back. We are back to one room apart. This is so crazy. That bridge, by the way, like the fact that you can get frame roll so easily, even with temper services,
it's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous.
Alright, you see actually Gem is actually being pretty aggressive basically with his health, right? You know, going into basically up here with only 2 hearts. I assume we're hearing, you know, heartbeats of encouragement on his side. But you know, of course, Gem knows that not only does he have red mail, so he's not in one-hit KO mode, he also has a good motion, right? Actually, speaking of, we don't have powder or anything like that, but I mean, Gem probably at this point, especially where he thinks he might be in the match, he is not willing to stop basically for anything.
Oh my god.
Oh, we are. Oh my gosh, GGW! Oh, he needed the magic. That's right. He needed the magic.
Like, and just like that, a tie is now like a 2-second gem lead, and
I cannot believe this, dude. I mean, well, actually, so GGW still has a blue potion. I guess maybe he doesn't want to use it?
I mean, the blue potion at that point probably takes a couple of extra seconds that you don't have.
He just spent taking out the extra magic. Oh no, I mean it's very no. Picking up magic, by the way, is absolutely 100% the right thing to do, right?
Yeah.
Because taking out, especially at this point, you have so many items. Quick swapping is not gonna save you many times to the bottle. You got to menu over, and then you gotta use the potion. Yeah, it's gonna take time. It's just we know how close this is, right? We know that every second, basically, that GW is spending is. This was basically cycling his. Oh my gosh, dude, what a 2-cycle! Some nice friendly patterns for both runners.
Double triple, you love to see it.
Yeah, no, I mean we're going again. All right, so okay, so when is when is Jem landing on the pyramid? Oh my god, he's so close, dude. It'll be the last split that we have for this match.
Yep.
Get and drop. That lands at. Alright, 116. Or sorry, 133.16.
Yes, 16 seconds.
Yeah. Alright,
4 seconds after.
20. 4-second difference here. Giving it to Ganon. At this point, it is absolutely imperative that you get the 1-1 here. Both runners do have silver, so not going to be as big a deal. But again, 4 seconds is a ton of time. It's not a lot of time.
But GGW misses the 1-1.
Oh no! Oh no! Alright, so GW making sure that he doesn't end up dying in this case. He doesn't have that keep out. He still does have a potion, keep that in mind. He's not taking any chances. But Jem is just slightly ahead of him on phase 3. Getting Torch Glitch is not going to be too big of a deal here because dude have silvers. But still, phase 4 Organic can still matter.
Jem taking no chances, not even getting the Torch Glitch.
Yeah.
He wants to set up for a triple right here. Only getting the double though. He will get it right there. Oh my goodness.
Gosh, what a race. How did not get hit there?
And he's out of a little bit of trouble here in phase 4.
Alright, alright, so GW has been there. KUG's out in chat for Jem. He has crossed the finish line with a 134, let's say 38. What a race. Freaking what a race, man, between these two runners. Seconds apart, basically, through the entire endgame. GGW finishing up relatively soon. I don't know, 30 seconds difference, something like that?
Yeah, final time of 135.14. So, such a close race. That was insane. And, like, you watch this race as it happened. Jem last locates his hook shot. But GGW chooses after Turtle Rock to say, okay, let's go check hammer pegs first. And little things like that ended up just turning into the race. And so, yeah, crazy. So in terms of how this works out for the Invitational, Jem is now 2-0 for getting the win for, Schultzer no longer participating. GGW down to 0-2, but still in it. And we are joined by Jem. GG's Jem.
GG's Jem. How are you feeling?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes,
hello. Hear you, yeah.
Okay, I was lighting up green, but now I am. Okay, anyway, thanks for the GGs. I'm feeling pretty awesome after winning this.
Yeah.
Looked like it was super close.
You are feeling, certainly congratulations for winning this, actually quite incredible race. So was there any point during the race where you felt like you were going to win?
I don't know, maybe when I got out of Pink's bed.
That's a great answer, actually.
So I guess what was going through your mind when you picked up the hook shot, knowing that you last located it?
Well, I was like, I mean, Agana's like a location that many people would last location there, so I wasn't feeling like super bad. Mm-hmm. But it's also absolutely a location that I know he might do after Dam, so it's like, at this point it was just like, okay, I might be totally screwed or I might be just super fine. I have no idea, so I'll just play.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, you certainly played very well. Right, and I mean your execution was very on point. So we saw like you got a zero star Argus. Colster was very gem-esque. You also got stair clip. All right, overall execution has been like very impressive. Yeah, so I guess I'm curious. There were a couple of quote-unquote notable skips that you ended up making, such as maybe like digging. I think you ended up also delaying Spiral Cave when you finally went up the mountain. Any particular, I guess, reasons for those decisions?
I don't know. I just felt like channeling my inner brain today. So I skipped Spiral Cave and Dig Game. And then I also ended up doing his route in GT because I thought it would be funny. And obviously his route would lose. So
at least
all is good in the world.
you at least decrease variance.
We're also joined by GGW. GG's, dude. This was a
GG's.
really tight race, man.
Yeah.
GG's, dude.
GG.
So kind of talk us through like how your decision making went, because you were able to pick up the hook shot before doing the Aga play, but at the same time that kind of sent you, I don't want to say like on a wild goose chase, but you then went to East Mountain, picked up the book, did Desert before doing Aga 1. But you know, overall you played very well. Like, kind of talk us through your seed a little bit.
I mean, I didn't really mind going on the wild goose chase that much. I didn't really feel like I was going to lose a ton of time if that hookshot was required to do Western Dark World. And if I was able to skip pod, which technically I could have, but it got to the point where I just had to do it. But if I was able to skip pod and he just skipped the hookshot and did pod, then it's pretty much a free win. So I didn't really feel too bad about that. I I don't think he likes to do Skull Woods generally, and so I wasn't super worried about the hammer. It's possible that he just full clears everything and wins, but I don't know. I just basically screwed up on Death Mountain and forgot about Spike Cave after TR, and I just forgot. So basically, it just cost me the game.
Well, you still put on quite a performance. Like, I guess the only other question I had is, after Swamp, you did Dig Spot and got your Ice Rod. Were you like, I was surprised. I thought you were going to take that Quake straight over to TR. So what kind of made you want to do Dig Spot?
Well, I still 2 items for Go mode, and they're probably not both in TR. So I just was like, whatever, we'll just do it. It's quick. It's not going to get any faster to do, so I'll just do it.
Turns out neither of them were in Turtle Rock.
Yeah, so cool seed.
Well, GG's to both of you. You guys put on quite a display, and you know you both should be proud of that with how you played.
Yeah, I don't know. I just lose every close race, so it's pretty disappointing. I just didn't execute well at the end of the race.
Clearmouse, do you have any final thoughts? I'm going to take that as a no. All right. Well, thank you guys both. Good luck moving forward. I believe you each have one race left to go. But for now, I think that is going to do it for us. Stay tuned. I'm sure there's going to be more races restreamed here on ALTTP Ladder while we continue on with this Casual Boots Invitational. So thank you everyone for watching. I'm Wallkicks. I want to shout out again to our trackers, Tam and Seraph Grim, I think. I hope I pronounced that right. I apologize if I did not. You guys are both awesome. And yeah, we will see you guys later. According to Dunker, our next restream should be tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern. I'm assuming that's Eastern, and hope that is correct.
Yeah, no, I just want to echo everything that you just said, Wallkicks. Thank you so much again to Sarah Brim and Sam for tracking. And yeah, according to Duncan, it looks like tomorrow night at 7. Do you actually know who's racing, Duncan?
Things I could have checked beforehand, like look at the schedule.
We are supposed to be on top of things, yes.
Let's see that. All right, Sailing versus Magnet Hands. Okay, cool. That'll be an exciting race for sure.
Yeah, and of course, also I just want to thank you again for to Gem and GGW. This was if you ever decide to watch this race back, this was very amazing race to watch. Quite the display of execution for both you guys. I mean, and thank you so much for letting us restream you. It was a lot of fun from our side.
Yeah, and I think that'll do it. Thank you guys. Have a good rest of your day.
Yeah, thanks.